Last week we did a Bible study with a sermon, and it became the longest sermon I've ever done here or anywhere ever.
30 minutes.
And so, that was 30 minutes. I mean, that's crazy. I aimed for like 11. So we're going to try to balance it out. We're going to go really short. And this time, my friend Kate, she once said about sermons, Hansen, they can't all be good, but they can all be short. So we're going to try to get at that today. Okay, we're going to start with the cheesiest beginning ever. So picture in your mind, you are an alien, like not on Earth, like green skin, tall, big head, big eyes, all that stuff. You're an alien, and you're from another planet, and you're flying over across the galaxy, coming to check out Earth. And on the way, you decide you're going to download English, because how else are you going to communicate if you land here? So you download English, and you learn the whole thing: apple, banana, corkboard, deoxyribonucleic acid. Like, you just get it all the words. You know how they work. And the first book that you learn to read is, like for many of us, even though you're aliens, Cat in the Hat. Right? And that's what we learned to read. Right? So Dr. Seuss. And you look at that book and you think, wow, people on Earth are weird. I mean, look at it. They have these contraptions and they do all this stuff. And so then you go and read Green Eggs and Ham. And you're like, man, they talk like that? How do they communicate? So you read all his books, all the artwork, Dr. Seuss, and you think, Earth is going to be like that. This is unbelievable. I don't know if I'm going to fit in on Earth like this. So you land expecting Dr. Seuss. But it doesn't look like that, does it? Nothing really looks like that. People don't talk like that. Some people act like some of the characters, but apparently the stories were not a picture of reality. Dr. Seuss must have been teaching us a lesson. That must be what's going on. So that makes sense. So you throw out Dr. Seuss. You get the first person you see. You say, "Ow! What is going on here? Tell me about your planet." And green skin and big eyes, and Al is really scared. And he's seen the movies. He's heard the stories. He knows he's going to get vaporized. So Al says to you, the alien, Al says, well, on our planet, let's see, we have Luke Skywalker, and he has and he beats up the Darth Vader and blows up the big star, and no one should mess with us because we've got Chewbacca. Ah! And so the alien, you want to download a little more, so you look at, okay, Luke Skywalker. You download all the movies, you watch them like in an instant, and you think, whoa, they are tough. I shouldn't pick on this planet at all. I would fight Jabba, but that Princess Leia, she's pretty awesome. We're not going to let go. So he lets go of Al, and Al runs back and sells the story to the Inquirer and makes lots of money. It's great. But you, the alien, are confused. You keep looking around thinking, where are all these Millennium Falcon? Like, I see young guys at every college town wearing Millennium Falcon shirts, but I never see any actual Millennium Falcons, and there's no droids, there's no pew pew pew. It's just, I do see in the movies, there's a lot of like people of different shapes and colors and places they come from and beliefs, and they always fight in the movies, so that must be really on Earth. And I see in the movies like the evil empire always taking over. Maybe that's here, but it must be that Al's story, it wasn't a story, about the Earth. It was a story maybe about us. It's confusing when you step into another world. You can't tell the difference between what matters and what's real. What matters, what's real. See where this trend is headed? So Dr. Seuss, George Lucas. Let's throw in J.K. Rowling. How many of you read all the Harry Potters? That's about the same amount that prayed. So okay, Harry Potter. You read that one. Maybe even J.R.R. Tolkien. They all create this fantastical world of their own, and we love those books, right? Amen. We love that stuff. We get into it. They create these amazing beings, impossible situations. It's easy to look at these stories and think, what a great way to escape from the world. I'm going to go read Lord of the Rings because it's an escape from the world. What a great way. Except the Grinch and Skywalker and Harry and the Hobbit. They look cartoonish, but these stories are about us. Not about some fake thing out there. They're about us. They tell our stories in their own style about our lives. They tell us what's important, that we know that's important. They tell us what values matter so we can be inspired toward that. These epic stories teach us and remind us what we already know, and in some ways they're more about this world than the regular stories we have about regular people. These epic stories, they remind us of deep wisdom because the weirdness cuts through some of our presuppositions. It helps us not have divisions when we can get into this level of weirdness. So Seuss and Star Wars and Potter and Lord of the Rings, so many like that. They tell these stories about our hearts, overcoming selfishness, good and evil, loneliness, purpose. And if you can suspend your first glance looking at those stories, if you can suspend your dismissive, it's just a story. If you can get to that point where they're more real than real, if you can do that, all of a sudden, a new way to write and imagine can help us have a new way of seeing and understanding the world. And that is precisely what's going on in Revelation. Revelation is just a story like all those other fantastical worlds, telling us something that's more real than it seems real. All the things that you could point out about the lightnings and the fear, and there's dragons and there's horsemen and there's angels and demons and seals and these insinuations of the end of times. In that book, all that stuff functions just like, oh, we've got Voldemort, and we've got Death Eaters, and we've got the danger, and he's on the edge, and he dies, and there's so many divisions there. It's just like we've got Sauron, and we've got orcs, and we've got walking crazy trees that couldn't possibly be in this world, but it's a little bit like this world, and it's scary, and we could never make it. There's no way we'll ever get out of this predicament. It must be the end. Get ready for the end. All of that imagery creates this pastiche that is both out of this world, weird and scary, but also for the folks who wrote and read the book of Revelation early in that 1st and 2nd century. It was a representation of all the terror they were dealing with in their own present lives. Too scary to talk about the real stuff. So let's talk about it through the images that we have here. How scared were they? Well, Rome was doing some really ugly things. Too scary to talk about. So let's talk about dragons instead. They think, can we survive this? Can our people keep living like this? I mean, it feels like the end is coming. It feels like the end of life is here. It's an immediate threat. But we're going to talk about it as a cosmic battle. We're not going to talk about the actual battles. It felt safer, easier to talk about struggles in those weird ways. They're writing about what they were dealing with every day. They were dealing with a government that oppressed them, an economy that left them, a culture that maligned them, a future that was unsure. Revelation is talking about taking away voting rights. It's about refusing to provide clean drinking water for people. Revelation is about women's pain being overlooked. It's about black men being murdered and ignored. It's about cancer that just keeps growing and taking over lives. It's about hurricanes that keep growing and taking over areas. It's about loneliness that can't be overcome, even with Facebook and all the things that we try to do. It's about the writing about their lives, their society, the motion of the whole world becomes more and more broken, seems more and more in need of change, seems more and more desperate for healing and renewal. For first century followers of Christ's message, life felt like it was crumbling and burning and falling apart at every turn. And in that context, Revelation, especially as it builds up to chapter 22, it just builds all the way to that point. As scary and weird as it is, maybe because it's scary and weird, it becomes about hope and the trust that fear does not have the last word. Fear never has the last word in a place of faith. It is about hope and trust that God will create a new heaven, a new earth. At its root, Revelation is about the faith in redemption, that the world moves toward renewal, despite all the evidence that wholeness is being separated. What John thought, he thought, A, if all the promises of God, of a loving God, are real, and B, all my experience of a harsh and painful world are genuine, then C, that means there has to be a new heaven. There has to be a new earth for all life and for the healing of all nations. It has to be. And we tell this story over and over and over. Harry wins after he dies. Luke wins, even though it takes a miracle. The fellowship wins, even though the group, the church that moves on a journey, they break up and fall apart and fight amongst each other. There has to be hope and peace through it all, because that's the God we know. Now the word revelation, Hillary, she came close, she said it's revealing. It's unveiling. It's uncovering. The Greek word is apocalypse, which that word for so many of us just brings up this connotation of war. But apocalypse just means the unveiling of something. So what does it unveil? Maybe the evils that surround us, so that we can face them and overcome them. What is it uncovering? Maybe it's uncovering the promise that through all darkness is light, through all chaos is hope, through all pain there will be love. And so that image of a tree with 12 fruits for all time, for all places, for all people, it's no more literal of a tree than Dr. Seuss has truculent trees. But the peace it implies, that's the point. That's what God's aiming for us and through us. So when life is spinning out of control, you dream for a place like that, sitting by a river. I wish I could just sit by a river, rest. When the world seems to be falling apart, wouldn't it be amazing if somewhere there was a home that just always became renewed? Every time you walked into it, you felt lifted up. When every part of your life is out to get you, what a comfort to have God by your side, working to redeem it. When the threats are so regular, so real, they just keep coming and keep coming, Every day a new threat, every day a new style of threat, every day a new fear about your life. What a blessing it would be to trust in a God of healing love. That's the good news. Starts at the beginning, comes to the end. That's the last page of the Bible. Last page of Scripture. Do it all. Hope for new life. For your story. Even for the broken